Welcome to LFN News, a production of LFN Media, bringing you the latest in celebrity news, with specific analysis to keep you in the know of what is going on around you. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. We also encourage you to share your comments in the comments section below and let us know what you think about the issue under discussion and any other issue you may want us to discuss in the future. The I Believe I Can Fly and Ignition hit maker R. Kelly, real name's Robert Sylvester Kelly, who was convicted on racketeering charges and violating the Mann Act in September 2021, was on Wednesday, June 29 sentenced to 30 years in prison. Kelly didn't give a statement at the sentencing hearing, and was seemingly not moved on hearing his penalty, which also included a $100,000 fine. Prosecutors had been pushing to have Kelly sentenced to more than 25 years behind bars, claiming R. Kelly was a continued danger to the public, and lacked remorse for exploiting his fame to lure victims into his orbit. In the days leading to the sentencing, R. Kelly's legal team prepared a sealed memo and sent it to court, just days before the sentencing, seeking leniency and pushing for the minimum, 10-year sentence. Although the contents of this memo were not made public until after sentencing, and were seemingly not considered by Judge Ann Donnelly while determining her sentence despite her making a mention of it, the memo had a depth of secrets about the singer that not many knew about. It was revealed that the memo had information about the singer's impoverished and chaotic home life as a child that included multiple instances of abuse, including by a sister and a male landlord whose names were blacked out. Although many were already aware of this, the memo revealed Kelly has an IQ of 79 and is functionally illiterate. Having felt shame and fear, he could not read the teleprompter when accepting Grammy Awards. In one previous interview, R. Kelly explained how he was regarded the underdog in his community growing up. Other kids could read, other kids could write, other kids could spell, they could do math, he says. I felt like an alien, I felt like an outcast. I felt like, what is going to happen to me? My mother couldn't answer it. My stepfather wasn't really interested in it one way or another. And my brothers and sisters were so young at the time they wouldn't do nothing but tease me about it. I was the underdog. How are you going to do this? You can't even read. The memo also included proof from Drs. Dietz and Sorrentino confirming R. Kelly is not a pedophile, contradicting prosecution's unfounded allegations all through the trial. The memo included transcripts of over 14 hours of interview Kelly had with psychiatrist experts. The transcripts reveal Kelly's closest relationship growing up was with his mother. Kelly said his closest relationship growing up was with his mother. His earliest memories were watching her mom perform as a singer in a band called Six Pack, and he would often accompany her to McDonald's where she would drink coffee and they would share a pastry. According to a letter written by Renee Sorrentino, a clinical assistant professor at Harvard Medical School, Kelly had never met his father and considered the loss of his mother to be the most tragic experience of his life. He also said he frequently visited McDonald's to smell the coffee and think of his mother. In one interview, R. Kelly once mentioned that to him, the M in McDonald's stands for mom. Going to McDonald's is always like being around my mother, Kelly said, explaining why he always frequented the diner. In one interview, R. Kelly once mentioned that to him, the M in McDonald's stands for mom. Going to McDonald's is always like being around my mother, Kelly said, explaining why he always frequented the diner. In the memo, Kelly's lawyers also cited the fact that Kelly was shot in the arm at the age of 14 as another incident that had a strong negative impact on the songwriter's mental state. Dr. Renee Sorrentino explained in her letter that scientific records show that trauma, such as the kind R. Kelly suffered in his childhood, often results in unusual desires by the time victims reach adulthood. It is my opinion with reasonable medical certainty that Mr. Kelly's history of childhood abuse is consistent with the definition of mitigating factors as any fact or circumstance that lessen the severity or culpability of the criminal act, wrote Dr. Sorrentino. Mr. Kelly's history of childhood abuse represents a hardship or circumstance that was out of his control. This history has been described in scientific literature as contributing to adult unusual desires. She wrote, Kelly had a deep, close relationship with his mother, but he says even she never knew everything that was going on in her young son's turbulent life. He says that until he mentioned it in his 2012 memoir, He had never told anyone at all about the abuse that he experienced. Not even his ex-wife Andrea. The memo also surprisingly included a letter written by Diana Copeland, Kelly's former assistant who testified as a government witness in R. Kelly's case. In the letter, she starts by mentioning she wrote a letter in support of Kelly because it was the right thing to do. God doesn't want us to throw humans away, Copeland wrote. If we have the audacity to care for the alleged perpetrators as well as the victims, we can all rise. Joycelyn Savage, who is considered a victim of Kelly's by prosecutors, also remains a strong R. Kelly supporter, and she too wrote a letter of support for the RnB King, included in the said sealed memo. Robert and I are deeply in love, and it breaks my heart that the government has created a narrative that I'm a victim. I'm a grown woman, and can speak for myself, which is why I wanted to provide this letter to the court. Savage wrote. My relationship with Robert is amazing, she continued. He's the best thing that's ever happened to me. We have a very special connection and are deeply in love. I still support Robert to this day because I love him and will always be here to support him. She added, Robert is not the monster that the government has described him to be. The Robert the First No is very sweet, gentle, and kind. At the end of the day, he has always made sure that I'm taken care of, and any other women he was with as well. In Savage's letter, she describes R. Kelly as an all-around incredible person, claiming that he always takes any opportunity he can get to help those in need. This could be why R. Kelly is actually in trouble today. He's very determined and focused on his goals, and the things that have been said about him, with me and other women being held against our will, is absolutely untrue, she wrote. It's the complete opposite of who he is and what my relationship is like with Robert. I respectfully ask that the court take my words into consideration when sentencing Robert. He is a great man, with a great heart, and deserves to be home with his loved ones who are ready to support him. Savage stressed in the letter. That's all we had for you today. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification icon. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.